The Supreme Court just dropped a bombshell that is shaking the foundation of gun rights across America. A unanimous 9-0 ruling has redefined how assault-style weapons are regulated, and the immediate consequences are already being felt in 9 states. This is not a minor tweak or procedural adjustment. This is a seismic shift in the interpretation of the Second Amendment that could affect millions of gun owners, collectors, and firearms businesses. Lawmakers are moving fast. Enforcement agencies are updating protocols. Gun owners who do not understand the implications of this ruling risk falling on the wrong side of the law almost overnight. The language of the decision gives states broad authority to implement stricter rules while maintaining a veneer of constitutional compliance. If you own a rifle, pistol, or any firearm that could fall under an assault-style classification, your responsibilities just changed. Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every new update on this landmark ruling could save you from legal trouble or costly mistakes. Staying informed isn't optional anymore. It's essential. The first question everyone is asking is simple. Why 9-0 matters so much? Supreme Court decisions rarely reach unanimity, especially on hot-button issues like the Second Amendment. A 9-0 ruling signals total consensus. There is no dissent, no loopholes. Lower courts and state legislators take notice because the message is clear. This is the law, and it will stand. Unlike split decisions, which leave room for interpretation, a unanimous ruling gives states legal cover to act aggressively. The court's opinion emphasized historical precedent, the scope of state regulatory authority, and the balance between public safety and individual rights. In practical terms, the ruling gives states the legal backing to redefine which firearms qualify as assault style, how they are licensed, registered, or restricted, and even which features make them subject to new compliance rules. Within days, 9 states moved to adjust their laws based on the court's opinion. These are not small, cosmetic changes. They are major updates to definitions, registration requirements, and enforcement mechanisms. Some states are narrowing the definition of firearms considered common use, while others are expanding the list of prohibited features. For example, one state is revising its law to classify certain semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines as restricted unless properly registered under new guidelines. Another state is expanding the authority of law enforcement to enforce feature-based restrictions while implementing tighter licensing procedures. These moves are directly citing the Supreme Court's language and reasoning. This is not theoretical, it's legal precedent in action, shaping real-world laws and daily responsibilities. For gun owners, this ruling is urgent. A firearm you legally purchased a year ago may now be classified under a new regulatory category. Imagine owning a semi-automatic rifle, previously unregulated in your state. Overnight, new definitions, registration deadlines, and enforcement rules could apply. Compliance is no longer optional, missing even a single new requirement, whether registration, storage rules, or licensing, can put an owner at risk of fines, penalties, or even criminal charges. States are moving quickly to implement these changes. Those who wait for public advisories may already be late. The safest course is immediate research and proactive compliance. Gun dealers and manufacturers are also feeling the impact. Inventory that was previously unrestricted is now being scrutinized under new legal interpretations. Dealers are consulting legal teams to ensure they do not inadvertently violate updated state regulations. Manufacturers are redesigning features to remain compliant with rapidly shifting legal definitions. Some companies have paused distribution in certain states until they fully understand the implications of the 9-0 ruling. This level of market disruption is rare, but a unanimous Supreme Court ruling carries weight that extends beyond immediate legal consequences. It signals years of regulatory stability in one direction. Businesses respond preemptively, and gun owners are caught in the ripple effects. Understanding the ruling requires a closer look at its core language. The court emphasized two major principles: historical grounding and state discretion. Historically grounded means that states must justify regulations by referencing historical precedents or existing frameworks. While this seems narrow, it is broad enough to permit extensive feature-based restrictions, licensing changes, and classification updates. State discretion allows legislatures to act quickly with legal protection in defining what qualifies as an assault-style weapon. The combination of these two principles has created a new legal landscape where rights remain intact, but the boundaries of lawful ownership are shifting dramatically. Let's break down what this means in practical terms. Step 1. Identify your firearms that could be impacted. Step 2. Review your state's specific definitions and pending legislative changes. Step 3. Ensure compliance with registration, storage, and licensing rules. Step 4. Consult legal counsel if needed. Step 5. Monitor enforcement updates actively. Skipping any of these steps could result in legal liability. And remember, this is not just a suggestion. The Supreme Court's 9-0 decision gives states unprecedented authority to enforce these changes quickly. Real-life scenarios highlight the stakes. John, a collector in one of the affected states, bought a semi-automatic rifle 2 years ago. He stored it according to previous regulations. Under the new 2026 updates triggered by this ruling, John must now register the rifle under a stricter category, modify certain features, and adhere to new storage mandates. Failure to comply could result in fines or confiscation. Meanwhile, his neighbor across the state line with the same firearm may face different requirements due to how each state interprets the ruling. This fragmentation creates a landscape of confusion, risk, and urgency for every firearm owner. The political and legal implications extend far beyond individual ownership. Legislators are citing the court's language in debates, advocacy groups are strategizing, and legal scholars are analyzing how this precedent could shape the next decade of Second Amendment litigation. Repetition matters here. This is not a temporary change. This is a permanent shift in legal interpretation. Courts, law enforcement, and lawmakers are aligning with the Supreme Court's guidance. Understanding the ruling now means being prepared for years of regulatory evolution. For businesses, this means everything from inventory decisions to marketing and compliance strategy must be revisited. Some manufacturers are preemptively altering magazine capacities or modifying semi-automatic features to remain within legal definitions. Dealers are recalibrating their stock, adjusting sales practices, and warning customers about compliance responsibilities. This ripple effect extends to legal teams, insurance providers, and even storage companies as liability and regulation intersect in new ways. The Supreme Court's reasoning also sets a precedent for future cases. Any attempt to challenge state-level assault weapon regulations will now be measured against this unanimous 9-0 opinion. Courts will reference the principles of historical grounding and state discretion repeatedly. If a future law is contested, attorneys will argue based on the explicit language used in this landmark ruling. Repetition of the legal phrases, historically grounded, state discretion, lawful regulation, will dominate filings, debates, and enforcement strategies for years to come. This is the textbook definition of a decision that reshapes the playing field permanently. Here's a step-by-step recap for gun owners, collectors, and dealers. Inventory check. Identify all firearms that could be impacted. Legal review. Research your state's current law and pending legislative changes. Compliance update. Register, modify, or adjust firearms as required. Enforcement awareness. Understand new storage, transportation, and licensing requirements. Stay informed, monitor updates, legal interpretations, and further state actions. The takeaway is clear. This 9-0 ruling is transformative. It does not eliminate Second Amendment rights, but it reshapes the framework under which those rights are exercised. It provides states with powerful tools to regulate assault-style weapons, redefines features and classifications, and creates a new landscape of compliance obligations. Gun owners who act proactively will navigate this new environment safely. Those who ignore it risk serious legal consequences. In conclusion, the Supreme Court has spoken unanimously. 9 states are already acting. More will follow. The Second Amendment remains intact in theory, but in practice, the rules governing firearm ownership have shifted dramatically. This is a critical moment for anyone with firearms, anyone in the gun industry, and anyone invested in legal compliance. Staying informed, following state regulations, and adjusting practices immediately is not optional. It is essential. Final call to action. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share this with every gun owner you know. Stay ahead of legal changes, stay compliant. And remember, the law just changed overnight, and you need to change with it to protect your rights, your property, and your peace of mind.